Good morning. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt with you again, and I'm going to try to tell you something that has been very important to me, and I learned rather early on in the treatment how to make a wax pattern, and then you take that wax pattern and you can make virtually any arch wire you want to, with loops going up or without loops or with torque in it and all sorts of things you could put into this wax pattern that you can make an arch wire that you can go back into the mouth and fit it. And now this real flimsy wire that you use, you can bend the loop and stick it in over here to have the patient hold it, come right over here and mark where you want to put an expanding loop and take it out, bend that, cut it off, put it in. You don't need a wax pattern for some soft, easy arch wire, but for any type of stiffer arch wire, an 018 round. Now I'm using 018 brackets, and that's what you could be using 022 brackets, which makes a much bigger arch wire. But I can do anything you can do with a smaller arch wire. You can torque better, and there's a lot of good advantages to having the smaller wire. So if you're patterning the things you are going to do after some of the things we do, then I strongly recommend the 018 by 025 bracket. So let's go ahead here now and talk about the wax pattern, what you can do with that. Now we take this is just a tapenade model here, and we're going to have a sheet of wax that is something like this on there, and we just press that wax down on these teeth until you can see the imprint of the brackets in the wax pattern. You just have to recognize where they are. And now I can take an arch wire and lay it around in this area, and it's come right here. I want to make an omega to tie this arch wire back so that it'll need to come up something like that, and you put that on there. And as you bend things in the arch wire, you start at the center. And now if I were to bend a loop or something here at this point and come up there, I would have to use up a portion of the back part of your arch wire. Now when we make our own arch wires, you buy, if you want to do it like I've done, I buy sticks of wire that are 14 inches long and cut them half in two, and you've got a 7-inch piece of wire there that will stick out over here. You mark the center of that, put it right here, and you can run it through a torquing turret, and you can put torque in it, and you can put it back in that fashion like that, and you put the torque, and as you use up your wire, you bring the back to the front, and you'll still have some left over if you cut off at the end that way. So let's start off like this. If I were going to try to start you from scratch and teach you how to do that, put brackets on the teeth and all that good stuff. Now I'm going to go ahead. This is the wax that we use. Now this is, we call it dental wax, but what it is pure beeswax. The poor old bees have to work a tremendous amount to get this much wax, and the sheets of it come about something like this, and I just cut them half in two, and I use one half to make an arch here and another half to make one over here. So one sheet of this wax, and that's what you can kind of see through it. And beeswax is just dead soft. It doesn't have any spring back when you put push it on there and you bring it out. Now in the mouth, it's easier to take that than it is to put it on a tapadon, because on a tapadon, it sticks to the tapadon a little, and you've got to pull it off. Here is the piece of wax now. And I know you say, well, what a ridiculous thing to do. I messed up my little drawing deal. I think I'm going to have to go in here somewhere and go in. I need to get the archwire back again. I got it. Okay. All right. Sorry, we got down too low there. Now, well, take that piece of wax, cut it in two, and it'll make two arches there. I can build an archwire for the top and the bottom. Now, I take this and mash it down on each tooth as we go around, and you see the brackets right in here. You see them all the way around. And I'll tell you, if you put an arch wire, just have it kind of running around just inside that measure. And I get back here to the molar. I want to put an omega in it. I know I'm going to do that. Then we start out, we put this wire all the way around. Now you mark the center of that 7-inch piece of wire, and you mark it, and you put that center back to that spot every time. And you go right here. If I want to make see, this is the central, the lateral. If I wanted to make a cuspid eminence, I could put a little out bend right in here, and it would bring it out past the cuspid, come back to the molar, and then here I'm going to make an omega that I can tighten the wire to. So if we have a plier that makes this, we've shown you how to do that, and you bend this up and come back, and then you go back into the molar back here. Now if I need to put buckle root torque, I have to put that in progressively in the arch wire coming back. Come on the other side of the wire. Now this, making this, pull the wire up from the back, not from the front. And we're going to come over here and make an omega in here. It goes through that, and it pulls some of this wire. And so we're going all the way around with that, and you can fit that back into that patient's mouth, and it will fit. And you do this, a few of you know just exactly where to put that wire. And you can go out at the molar if you want to, and if a molar's real thick across from the buccal to the lingual side, and the bicuspid's kind of narrow, and you want to keep the cusp tips lined up, then you have to put a little off bend as you come across the molar, so that the molar will be out further to put the cusp tips right in line. Now, this is taking a little longer than I wanted to, but I can make that. And if the wire does not have any loops, like if you're coming around with a wire here and you want to put a loop in it, like something like that, then you've got to cut a hole in the wax, and then your loop goes into the hole, so that when you put this on, this would fit inside the tooth, or on the edges of the tooth. I'm going to kind of get stopped up here, but that's just the way you get after you get my age. You get stopped up with a lot of stuff. All right, let's go on to another one. Now here we go. We take a piece of arch wire and we pull it around. And if I want to put torque in this arch wire right here, I run it through a torquing turret. And I haven't shown you that yet. And you go back at the back end of it, and you make an up bend as the wires come around, and you'll have so that you can see the torque. So this has a torque in it here, and you come in and you've got your brackets all around here showing this, and you, of course, the first thing you do is you mark the center of that wire before you ever start, and you do everything from one point. You put that there every time, and then you come in and make the different bends that you're going to put in this wire. And I'll torque it from center, the two cuspids and the two laterals, and I get to the cuspid, and I say, well, I do not want to torque the cuspid, so I get between the lateral and the cuspid and take the torque out of the wire from there back. In other words, this space back here will go up, so you can see it. Then this has no torque in it when it gets back to there. And you come in here, you make your omegas. You're going to come out like so with this omega, and you can push this and put your arch with your tie back in there, and you can tighten that wire so tight you can close space or whatever you want to with that wire made off of this wax pattern. Now let's go on to something else. There it is when we kind of started the thing. I know I'm going to do the motor, the omegas to tie the motor back, and the cuspid hemlets right in here, and you do those works starting at the center. Now I don't have my center marked on this, so I put the center and then I work from there back on each side, and you can make just any arch wire. If you want to make a loop that stands up, you have to come to where you want the loop started and cut a hole in this and take this wax out of here like that, and then you can make a loop in there. We'll show that in a few minutes. Okay, here we're going to make what we call a step down arch. You come around like this, and you drop it, and you come over here, and you come up, and you make something to tie on, and you come back in that fashion. Now if I'm going to do that step down arch here, I'm going to have to cut a chunk of this arch wire, this beeswax out of there, and the wire's going to come in here and go up, come back down here, and have the same circle, come back up again, and I may want to make something to tie the arch wire back. So you come up and make a little loop like this, and then you can tie into that, and you can close space with a step down or step up in the arch wire, and it'll bring the roots of the teeth together again. And this is, let's see, we're going like that. So we take the wire and we go around and you mark, okay. We're going to drop it down, and now we're going to come around like this and come up wherever, and then we'll make this little wire here, and I can tie that back, and when I tie that back to close space in this area right here, when you tie that, you put a strain on it, and it will make this portion here bend down. It'll make a down bend like that, and these will go down this way, and that makes, when I close with a step down, this is like pushing this over, and this will keep the root going with the wire. If you close space or if you open space, you close it like that, and you squeeze it together, it bends down, and it moves the root in the way the crown is being moved. Now this was the best thing that came along, and I was able to bend this virtually any wire I wanted to. Now there, we'll bend that down, we'll come around. Now let me go back and show you this plier. This plier I made for myself. This is a quarter millimeter wire. In other words, you take say if this were only a millimeter wide, you cut it, that's wrong. You cut it in 4 little pieces, and you got 4 quadrants. In other words, you have 4 1/4 or 1/2 inch, 1/2 millimeter in size right here at the tip of that wire, and this is tool steel, and it don't make it out of anything else, and they join the tool steel onto your regular plier. You can bend wires with this for weeks, months, or years, and the tool steel will hold up. If you make it out of the same material you make the plier, this will play out, and for just a few loops that you might bend. All right, there I bent that down and made a 90-degree, except you do not go out here and go like that. You come out and you go this way, kind of slope it in there. Another thing that you need to understand about wire bending, never make a sharp bend like that. If that's the inside and this is the outside, and you sharply bend this, you're going to pack these too hard, and you're going to stretch these too much, and the wire will break. Always go around something as much as you can, and then when you make this down here, kind of come back in that direction. This is rounded a little bit, but not a great deal. All right, we mark this, and we're going to come up with that. And now I'm going to make a 90-degree bend, but don't bend it too sharp. And it will come out like that, but I won't put something that I can hang in here and close space on that. So I'll take that wire, and when I get to that point, I'll close the space. I'll mark it out in front of that wire, and now we're going to take this, come up, and circle back like that. Now here this is a Tweed loop forming plier. It's the best one that I know of. They have a little shaft in there. I've never broken that thing. And now we're going to circle it all the way, and we're going to come back up to the top, bend it back in this direction, and this is going to go in your motor tube, and I can tie this back, and it'll pull back on this arch wire. As I pull back on the arch wire here, this part is going to spring up like that, and the other part's going to lean out. And when it does, as you close that in, this will go down this way, and that brings the root of this tooth forward, and it'll take this root and make it go back in the other direction. This will go down too, and then make the root go distal, so that the crown of the tooth moves a certain way, and the root will move the same way the crown does, with a step down arch. Now I'm getting pretty complicated, and this, we bend that over, and you've got something like that. Now we're going to take that back, put it on. This is just a drop down that's going to hold the space. Over here, we'll tie it back and close the space with a piece of round wire in there. Now that's as far as I've gone on this, but I want to say this, that wax patterns are the best way that I've found to accurately bend a stiff, fairly rectangular or heavy round wire. I can bend it from a wax pattern and put it back in the mouth, and it'll fit. And you can learn to do that, and you don't have to try to, it's very difficult to make an arch wire and put it back and forth in the mouth and where you're going to bend it. But on the wax pattern, you can bend it in the lab if you want to, and just use it that way. So I thank you for watching. I want to pick out the best way of doing any of these many different things we do in orthodontics, and I want to put those out for you. So thank you for watching, and to me this was the best way to learn how to bend heavier arch wires with loops. Anything you can dream up, you can bend it off of this wax pattern. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll stop this.